headline from yesterday is the U.S. Senate votes to not defund Planned Parenthood or repeal Obamacare. Now, as I try to make clear, Right to Life Essential California is not really strictly a healthcare organization. We don't necessarily take positions on things like how well Medicaid should be funded, how well it shouldn't be funded. We don't really take positions on questions like that. We don't take positions even on things like, the exact format that our federal healthcare system should take, blah, blah, blah. The stuff we do take positions on are public policy questions that relate to abortion. And within the context of healthcare, there are some really important things that relate to abortion. Within Obamacare, for example, we're in a state right now, we're in basically a legal structure right now, where under Obamacare, every year, the federal government is subsidizing healthcare plans that cover abortion to the tune of about $80 billion per year. $80 billion of your taxpayer dollars are going to pay for abortion coverage for lower income insurance purchasers. That is not insignificant, okay? That's a lot of our money that's being poured into the abortion industry. Every year, $400 million of our taxpayer dollars, and that's a lot less than 80 billion with a B, but $400 million of our taxpayer money is going towards Planned Parenthood. It's mostly in the form of Medicaid reimbursements for non-abortion services, but it's basically bankrolling all of Planned Parenthood's less profitable activities so they can focus on what is their chief generator of non-governmental and non-donation revenue, abortion. So these are the questions that we really concern ourselves with when it comes to healthcare policy and public policy is how is abortion being funded? How is abortion being supported with our taxpayer dollars? How are abortion providers being supported with our taxpayer dollars? And so that's why we've been following this healthcare debate so closely. And what the Senate was doing yesterday was essentially they were attempting a straight up or down repeal of Obamacare, a very simple bill that says Obamacare is repealed. And it would have included a defunding of Planned Parenthood. But basically, I think there were enough senators who have the position that, no, we shouldn't just repeal Obamacare. We need something to replace it. We can't just eliminate Obamacare without having something in place that can substitute for it. So as a result, John McCain, Shelley Moore Capito, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Rob Portman, Lamar Alexander, and Dean Heller, who are all U.S. senators, they all voted no on this bill, which was a straight repeal of Obamacare and a defunding of Planned Parenthood. So this was sort of depressing in terms of, again, whether it's wise or not to just completely repeal Obamacare, I don't know, and I don't comment on. What's depressing is the idea that a defunding of Planned Parenthood and a ban on federal funding for abortion, that those things went down, and that this whole process is stalled in the United States Senate. It seemed like there had been a kind of breakthrough in the House, that they passed something, and something very good as it relates to abortion funding. But then in the Senate, things are all gummed up. And again, those of us in the pro-life movement, this is something we have to really focus on and really care about. And we've talked about some of the priorities we have to have as pro-lifers in looking at the question of healthcare. So our priorities have to be, first, no federal funding for abortion in any way. No funding of, no reimbursements, no government subsidies for healthcare plans that cover abortion. For 40 years, we've had in place what's called the Hyde Amendment. And the Hyde Amendment has probably saved about 2 million lives in this country. The Hyde Amendment basically said that no federal dollars could go towards abortion. Well, Obamacare changed all that. Obamacare required basically as I said, about $80 billion in federal subsidies to go towards healthcare plans that cover abortion. For those of you who don't know, the way it works, Obamacare in general, if you're not getting insurance from your employer, you can go out on the Obamacare exchanges and you can purchase a healthcare plan. If you're a lower income person, you can purchase a healthcare plan at a significantly reduced cost. And the cost is reduced because it's being paid for partially by taxpayers. That money, those plans, which are subsidized by taxpayers, include plans that cover abortion. So the good thing in all the Republican proposals was that they all included provisions saying that that can't happen anymore. That basically, instead of purchasing subsidized plans, what will happen is people will get tax credits, and then then individuals can go out and purchase insurance plans that they want. Those tax credits cannot be used to purchase plans that cover abortion in all of the Republican plans. So that was a really positive thing. It was a sort of 180-degree reversal from the policy in Obamacare. Obamacare was subsidizing abortion to the tune of $80 billion. The Republican plans completely overruled that. So that would have been a really positive thing. And that has to be a priority for those of us who are pro-life in advocating for healthcare reform. Again, the other priority has to be defunding Planned Parenthood and defunding abortion providers who are getting all of this money through the federal Medicaid program. We talked last week about these horrible stories about Planned Parenthood clinics, stories that were sort of being exposed by Live Action, which is Lila Rose's group. Basically, these undercover stings which found abortion clinics facilitating and helping out basically human traffickers. Live Action would come in posing as they would have an actor come in posing as a pimp who was engaged in human trafficking of underage prostitutes. And Planned Parenthood was saying, oh, well, we have no judgment about what your girls are doing, and here are ways in which, there's no need to report anything, and if they're minors, like blah, blah, basically helping these people circumvent the law, helping these people break the law, helping these people in, one of the most evil plagues on modern society, which is human trafficking. Now, there's this new story coming out today about Planned Parenthood. A new video from the Center for Medical Progress, just released today, shows a Planned Parenthood vice president discussing how a, quote, checkbox allows abortionists to declare their compliance with the law banning partial birth abortion and then do the procedure as they wish. The Dr. Susie Prabhakaran, the vice president of medical affairs for Planned Parenthood of Southwest and Central Florida, explained to the Center for Medical Progress investigators, that's David Daleiden, his group, posing as fetal tissue buyers, the standard practice of abortionists who don't use digoxin, I believe that's how it's pronounced, to stop a baby's heart in the womb before extracting it. Dig, as the drug is called, is a chemical injected into the human in the womb to kill him or her. It stops the baby's heart from beating. The baby is then removed from the mother's womb. But if Dig is used in an abortion, it prevents the baby from being harvested. Planned Parenthood abortionists who don't use Dig can indicate on a form their intent to commit a dismemberment abortion rather than a partial birth abortion. And that's how you comply. So basically, David Leiden's got more video of Planned Parenthood abortionists talking about how they circumvent the law, talking about basically how there's the existing law banning the practice of partial birth abortion, which is totally horrific. Basically, the baby is like 90% delivered and then killed. Basically, these abortionists talking about how they circumvent the law, which bans that procedure by just basically falsifying records and lying on a checklist. So, again, another priority for pro-lifers in any sort of reform of our healthcare, of the universe of our healthcare laws, has to be defunding Planned Parenthood. This organization does not deserve our federal dollars. There are other organizations that can use that money better. provide better health care for women.